Hey, let me ask you a question. How many times did you have an idea in your head and it never came to fruition? How many times did you go to a meeting, whether you're the boss or whether you're a manager or whether you're somebody who is part of the team, and you guys talked about strategies and ideas and plans, and they never came to fruition, or they were executed in a kind of excuse my language, half-assed way? I've been there many times. It's kind of frustrating because you look at it several months later or a year later or whatever, a period of time after that, and you're going, man, I should have done that. I could have done it. I could have accomplished so much more. But by now, the whatever plan I had would be completed. But nothing happened. It stayed in your head, or it stayed on the table in some sort of a strategy paper or strategy document. So time to stop that. There's a saying, and I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know who said it, but I heard it somewhere, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And that is, it's much better to have a bad plan that is executed well than to have the most phenomenal, best plan ever not executed well. So the whole thing is execution, doing. I always say we should be called human doers as opposed to human beings. We can have all sorts of ideas, all sorts of plans in our heads. We can have all sorts of plans and strategies put on paper, but if they're not done, if they're not executed, then needless to say, nothing happens. So the more you do, the more you accomplish, the more you attain. I think the more satisfaction you get in whatever you do. There's a great book written by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan called Execution. I have it with me right here. That is I feel is a fantastic book. It has all sorts of ideas and all sorts of concepts and all sorts of takeaways that you can take to improve your execution, especially in a business setting, in a company, in an organization. But also you can totally take it into your personal life. So I reviewed it. I took 7 takeaways that I want to communicate with you guys, and enjoy it. So let's get into it. In this video, we're diving into one of the most practical and impactful business books out there, Execution: The Discipline of Getting Things Done by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan. If you want to learn how to bridge the gap between strategy and results, this book is essential. Whether you're a manager, business owner, or an executive, the concepts and execution will show you how to get things done effectively. First, let's define what Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan mean by execution. In simple terms, execution is the discipline of turning strategies into results. The authors argue that execution is the most critical component of business success, and yet it is often the most overlooked. Many businesses have great strategies on paper, but they fail because they lack the ability to follow through. Execution isn't just about doing things, it's about doing the right things consistently. Bossidy and Charan emphasize that leaders need to be deeply involved in the execution process to ensure alignment between goals, people, and processes. Without execution, even the best strategies are useless. Successful companies don't just plan, they act. Who are Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan? Larry Bossidy is a renowned American businessman with a career spanning over 3 decades. He made an impact as the former chairman and CEO of Honeywell International and Allied Signal, where he was instrumental in driving growth through operational excellence and strategic execution. Ram Charan is a globally recognized business consultant, author, and speaker. His background is in engineering and business, where he spent over 40 years advising Fortune 500 CEOs, boards, and executives on strategy, leadership, and execution. In this video, we'll break down the core ideas from the book and focus on 7 key takeaways that you can apply immediately to your organization or business. These principles will help you align strategy with execution, lead more effectively, and achieve sustainable growth. Let's jump in. Key takeaway number 1, execution starts with leadership. The first key takeaway is that execution starts at the top. Bossidy emphasizes that leaders must not only create the strategy, but also be directly involved in its execution. This means more than giving orders. It means understanding the details, asking the right questions, and holding people accountable. In many organizations, leaders delegate too much and lose sight of the critical aspects of execution. However, Bossidy insists that leaders need to be in the trenches, visible, engaged, and actively steering the organization towards success. Key takeaway number 2, aligning people, strategy, and operations. Another critical lesson from the book is the need to align people, strategy, and operations. If these 3 elements aren't working together seamlessly, your business will struggle. Bossidy and Charan explain that a business's success depends on how well its people understand and align with the company's strategy. Your strategy is only as effective as the people who execute it, and your operations, how work gets done, must support both the people and the strategy. Hey, let me briefly welcome you to Business Control Academy. I'm Dr. Jarjuro. If you found this information interesting or helpful, please subscribe. Let's go back to the takeaways. Key takeaway number 3, the right people in the right roles. One of the standout lessons in execution is the importance of putting the right people in the right roles. The authors emphasize that having talented people isn't enough. They need to be positioned where they can deliver the most value. The key is to identify talent early, assess strengths and weaknesses, and assign roles accordingly. As Bossidy states, execution relies on people who are not only skilled, but also aligned with the company's values and goals. Key takeaway number 4, clear communication is essential. Another major takeaway is the importance of clear, direct communication. Execution fails when leaders assume that everyone knows what to do or that strategies are self-explanatory. Bossidy argues that leaders need to communicate expectations clearly, consistently, and frequently. This also applies to feedback. Regular feedback, whether positive or corrective, keeps everyone aligned and ensures that execution stays on track. Key takeaway number 5, build a culture of accountability. Bossidy and Charan stress the need to build a culture of accountability within the organization. Execution only happens when people take responsibility for their tasks and are held accountable for results. Accountability starts with leaders who must set the example of holding themselves accountable. They must also create processes for tracking progress, addressing roadblocks, and ensuring that everyone follows through on their commitments. Key takeaway number 6, focus on outcome, not activities. One of the most practical lessons from execution is to focus on outcomes rather than activities. Many businesses get bogged down in measuring how busy employees are instead of evaluating the results they produce. The goal is to ensure that every activity contributes directly to the organization's objectives. Execution is about measuring progress by outcomes, not how many tasks you've completed, but whether those tasks moved you closer to your goals. Key takeaway number 7, continuous improvement and adaptability. Finally, the 7th takeaway is the importance of continuous improvement and adaptability. Execution is not a one and done process. It requires constant monitoring,
learning, and adapting to new circumstances. Basidi and Charan explain that leaders need to regularly assess what's working and what's not, and then make adjustments accordingly. Organizations that execute well are always evolving, improving, and refining their processes. So, those are the 7 takeaways from Execution by Larry Basidi and Ram Charan. This book teaches us that success isn't just about having a great strategy, it's about turning that strategy into action through effective leadership, clear communication, accountability, and continuous improvement. The bottom line is this: execution is the key to bridging the gap between ideas and results.